Good morning, everybody from Brooks Camp. My name is Mike Fitz, and I'm a park ranger here at Katmai National Park and Preserve. And I got my mobile cam out this morning because we just maybe confirmed a really rare event sort of in the bear world, a possible adoption of the abandoned yearling that a lot of people were following earlier in the summer. So if you're not familiar with the story, there's kind of a lot that we ended up writing about this abandoned yearling. It was kind of pushed away by its mother or abandoned by its mother in early July, which is a really kind of odd time for a female to push her cub away. And it was about a year early for bears in Katmai to do that. Most females will keep their cubs for 2 to 3 summers, but this one was abandoned a year early. It had to fend for itself for quite a bit of time. And then we ended up maybe getting some information that it had possibly been adopted by another bear further down the lake, and that was a bear that we know comes to Brooks Camp here and comes every fall too. So we're really anxious and waiting to see if that bear came back with this yearling cub, because the bear that possibly adopted it has a spring cub. So it looks like we have that mixed age litter going on out here right now. So it's, again, really, really rare to have adoption in the bear world, but this is maybe a confirmation of that here. It's been confirmed, of course, in other places, but within my time here at Katmai, I can't remember ever really seeing this happen. So I'm kind of excited that this is going on, an interesting event. You're not going to be able to see it very well on our mobile cam from where I'm positioned, so I'm kind of far away from them due to the Wi-Fi signals and where I can reach the Wi-Fi signals. But I'll be doing my best to maybe try to answer your questions, kind of narrate what we've been seeing going on. They're out in the lake right now, so I'll get back to the camera, I'll zoom in, and you'll be hearing the radio talking as well, because I have my microphone right here next to the mic that's feeding audio out to the internet as well too. So you'll be hearing people chime in from time to time. Maybe we'll have another bear walk down the beach. So I'll try to stick with you for about an hour or so answering questions and things like that. If Holly wanders out of my line of sight, then I might just kind of call it a day. But this is a very interesting event for me, very fascinating. So let's enjoy it, and let me get back to the camera, point it in the right direction towards the mom and cubs. We'll see what happens from there.
There's just under the bridge at the wedge still. Happy.
This plane landed? Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Nuts. All right. That's a
The otters
All right, if you can still hear me, we got a bunch of planes coming in on our beach right here. So I'm gonna move down to the river where I'm out of their way, and I'm also away from the noise, so it'll be a little bit easier to see things and talk to you from down there as well. So.
Copy that. You just got sort of 3 bears I can see from the platform now. Copy.
So if you lose the signal, I apologize. I'll try to get it back as soon as I can. I gotta have to move back down the trail, and you may lose the signal. That doesn't mean anything was going on that's unsafe, but we move out of the bear's way before they're too close. And from here, actually, we can get a really good view of Holly anyways, so I'm going to try to get across the bridge if I can. And let me level the tripod here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. So you're looking at bear 435 right now. She's a kind of a fat bear at this time of the year. The yearling looks like it's up in the grass. Just kind of behind the birch tree that's blocking its sight. And then the spring cub is right in the middle of the camera's view right now. Sorry, what was that, Sean? Okay. Yeah, you might not have the right channel on that. We might not be on air anymore. Well, okay. So if you can still hear me on explore.org, I'm just trying to confirm that. Make sure that you post a comment. That would be wonderful if you could do that. Okay, so we have mom and spring cub right now in the camera's view. And again, the yearling is just out of our line of sight, just behind the birch tree that's kind of close to the camera. So again, if I'm back live on explore.org, please make a comment that makes sure you can hear me. And I should be on the River Watch feed, so if you're wondering about that. So we got Holly swimming across the river, kind of coming a little bit closer to us now. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit to try to give you a better view of the yearling. Thanks. And the spring cub, so you can get a difference in the idea of the size. So they're coming into view now. Thanks, Sean. Okay, good. People can hear me. I'm not going to be stepping in front of the camera because if I do that here, I'm likely to fall into the river in my position. But here comes into line of sight right now is the yearling.
slowly making its way upriver, but needs to stop every 10 seconds for another fish.
So again, this is quite fascinating. And then you'll see the spring cub follow or trailing behind him. And then mother is still out in the water. And you can just barely see her ears picking above or poking above that birch tree. So there was a question that came in that if a bear out on the lake and if there's a bear in the lake and a plane lands, could I inform the pilot about those bears? And unfortunately, we can't. The pilots, they have to be looking out for not only bears but logs. They have to be looking for maybe canoes or kayaks that are out there, other planes. So they're really good at assessing the situation before they happen to come in. Thankfully, the planes really don't land in a spot where bears are typically going to be found. They land far enough out in the lake where it's unlikely to see a bear. And again, if you have more questions, please post them on explore.org's website, and I'll do my best to try to answer those for you. But in the meantime, we'll just sort of watch and enjoy. You don't have to whisper either. You can talk. When you're on the radio, then you'll be on as well too. So it's not a big deal. So. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. So. Yeah, you're listening online on the web. You'll be hearing other people talking around me because I'm standing right in a spot where the public is around, other rangers are around too. So we're all kind of fascinated by this phenomenon that we're seeing. So pan over to the spring cub, and that one again is just going to be out of the camera's line of sight because of that birch tree. And then Holly, she's kind of still in the same spot, eating a salmon. So again, this is really rare in the bear world. It has been documented, but I've never seen it here along the Brooks River. And it's kind of very interesting. This is a soap opera that a lot of people were following. Most of the time, these things don't have happy endings. From a human perspective, the bear ends up dying. The chances of this bear finding an adult female that was tolerant enough of him to keep him around and perhaps even protect him is extremely rare. So the odds were definitely against this yearling, but it seemed to be in the right place at the right time for sure. And bear 435 Holly, she's always been a fairly tolerant bear of other bears. So she doesn't necessarily run from other bears unless they're really big, dominant adult males, and most other bears, of course, avoid those. So she's always been tolerant of other younger bears, other adult females, and this this young yearling over here is a male, so he found the right bear at the right time.
Awesome. Adoption.
So we haven't, a couple questions coming in about, you know, if Holly's going to nurse the yearling. We haven't seen that. You know, they just sort of showed up. So it'll be interesting to watch and see if that does happen. I have seen video on the internet
Our bear is still slowly going upriver.
of bears in mixed age litters like this nursing older cubs from a different litter. So
In the right direction. Hopefully be able to
we'll be watching to see for sure if that happens, but we haven't seen it yet. And now, while I was talking, they all sort of moved out of the camera's line of sight, and they're all together right now. Sean, yeah, if you want to, if you can drive, that'd be awesome. So wide and tight here. Thank you. I'm using one of the other rangers as my my support staff here, because it's hard to hold the iPad. It's hard to move the camera and pan and things like that all by yourself. Will they nurse next summer? Not really sure. The Holly, again, she's going to keep that spring cub into next year, possibly for a third year. Last time she had a cub that she weaned, she only kept it for 2 summers. So if she's not going to push, you know, the springer away, she's probably, you know, if the yearling survives, she's probably going to keep it. And bears will nurse with their mothers as long as they're with them. So I've even seen big 2.5-year-old cubs that are almost as big as mom nurse. As they age, they are less and less reliant on mother's milk and more reliant on food that they find out in nature. And in fact, right now, even the small spring cub over there is probably gaining, you know, a good deal of its nutrition from the dead salmon that it can pick up as it's walking around. Yeah, and if you're kind of just tuning in right now, we're set up with our mobile camera because we kind of had a really rare event with, looks like a confirmed adoption here, which we don't often see. So we have here at Katmai sort of hijacked the Riverwatch feed to see this, so I can chat with you live for the time being. And she's coming into view right now, so we'll get a really good look at the family. So I'm probably not going to be able to get to all of your questions. And again, my name is Mike Fitz, and I'm a park ranger here at Katmai. But I'll be doing my best. Yeah, and if you're kind of wondering which bear is which, the one that's leading right now is the yearling. So that's the darker one. The adult female, number 435 Holly, is in the middle. And the spring cub is just right behind 435. Depending on where these bears go, we may have to move back. And again, that's not anything to be concerned about. This happens an awful lot. If they get to the grass, the island that's kind of in the middle of the river from where we are, they're going to be about 60, 70 yards from us. So we can remain here as long as they stay over there. If they start swimming in this direction, then we'll have to pick up and move. May lose the feed during that period of time, but that's okay. That'll happen. We'll try to get back as soon as we can. Yeah, so I'm going to be watching the bear and talking with you, but there's another ranger that's sort of in charge of getting us to move when we need to. So he'll let us know as soon as we need to do that. So it looks like we're going to have to back up in just a little bit. So she ends up, snorkeling by. We'll move back in her wake as soon as we can. So Sean, I'm gonna back up here. We'll follow Aaron and set up over there. So again, if we lose the signal, then we'll get back as soon as we can.
I think we're gonna try to hang out here for the time being.
Sean, if you could set up here, and then maybe I'll step in front of the camera so we're not just looking at grass. So we may be able to still hit the Wi-Fi signal from here. Not sure. So we'll kind of be looking around. We'll move back to the river as soon as we can. Again, a very common occurrence here at Katmai. We're really focused on trying to give bears space they need to survive. Not all bears, of course, will avoid groups of people, but many of them will. And 435 Holly is generally a bear that's pretty habituated to the presence of people. But even still, you want to give them space. You never really know how they're going to react to you in each and every encounter. So you should be watching any bear that you ever happen to encounter very closely for any signs of stress, even bears that you think you know really well.
Don't cross the bridge.
Yeah.
In 1 hour? Yeah, don't cross the bridge.
Because we don't want you to get stuck. Yeah, you're gonna leave on this side.
So
So you can stay here.
if you can still hear me, again, I'm going to try to answer a couple questions here while we're waiting to get back to the edge of the river. Somebody was asking, is it possible that the yearling is a cub of hers from last year? And it's not hers from last year. In fact, this bear was single last year. And bears, as long as they're nursing, won't go into estrus. They won't mate. Therefore, they won't have a cub 1 year and then another cub the next. So as long as they're caring for cubs, they don't mate and have the potential to have more offspring in the future. So again, if you're not familiar with this story, the yearling actually was abandoned by another bear that we know really well here, who's around every summer for over 10 years now, and her number is 402. And in early July, she just happened to abandon the cub. It seems like she went into estrus, she was done with that cub, and it had to fend for itself, and it ended up finding a fairly tolerant female in Holly over here. And I get the first time we maybe suspected that this had happened was in late July at a different creek down on Naknek Lake, but we didn't actually see them between then and now. So this is very interesting. We were waiting for Holly to come back to see if it would come back with that yearling. And does the yearling look to be about the right size to go into hibernation? Yeah, it still has a lot of time to put on weight too. There's a ton of dead fish in the Brooks River right now. There's definitely room for more bears to find food in the Brooks River. And Sean, I don't know, have you been out there fishing recently? Tons of dead fish in the, okay.
And it kind of looked like the yearling was kind of looking for himself for some of those fish because he was wandering off.
Yeah, and the cubs, they're not relying on mother to bring them food if they're just picking up dead fish in the water. So they definitely are going to be cruising the riverbanks looking, they're going to be looking for their food on their own. All of these eddies and side channels, slow-moving parts of the lower half of the Brooks River collect the dead salmon as they drift downstream once they spawn. So it's very, very easy to find a lot of rotten fish out there for the bears to eat. So we're still waiting for the family to move a little bit further away from where we were before we can get across, back up to a spot, I should say, where we can see them again.
I hope so.
They'll wait. They have to. You just be told.
Okay, they called over to the platform, Jimmy, and they said that they
So you may be hearing some other things too.
We're gonna move back up now.
Some other people chatting near me again. We're right in a spot where the public is.
Back up to the river now.
So we're going to go back up to the river, maybe get a good look at the family.
Polly is on the upriver side of down around.
So it's, 435 is right in front of us, and her two offspring are going to be right there too.
So she is moving, so stand by. We're back in the corner.
Downriver Island.
Yeah, she's right in the middle. Oh, there she is, and her cubs are there too. And the bald eagle just flew in and landed, and that's why the gulls just all went crazy. I don't know if it was actually hunting one of the eagles or if it was just landing, but gulls don't like eagles, so that's why if you're ever, watching the bear cams and you're looking for a bald eagle and you see the gulls all of a sudden just go crazy,
Like the bear is now on your
that's
side
probably
now.
because there's a bald eagle around.
Yeah, we got her.
So depending on where she goes, we may have to back up once again.
She's outside 50 yards.
Kind of depends.
Well, she probably is at about 55 yards as well, but she's headed toward corner, so we should hold off.
So we'll probably have to back up here in just a second. And we may lose the signal. That's going to happen. So please bear with us, and we'll be back as soon as we can once we can get back to a spot where we can see the bears.
We're going to start backing up the machine.
Yeah, we use a lot of bear puns. And we going back to Bear Trail, or?
And one cub on the upper side of down around. Not sure where it is.
I might go a little bit further this time.
Okay. So we're probably going to lose the signal as we drop back here, folks, so apologize for that.
We're about 3/4 of the way back to Bear Trail right now, and I've lost sight of her.
Copy that. She's swimming towards the point.
So we're going to zoom out here and kind of give you a little bit of a perspective on just kind of what happens in between the visitor center, Brooks Lodge, and the river. So we're right on what we call the camp trail. Aaron Kameyer's the Sean. Any period of time without having to move away. Depends if it starts to drizzle too. Everybody, we'll have to call it a day. We don't want to ruin our camera in the rain.
No, the bridge is open right now, so
So we got Holly swimming out back into the lake, and it looks like one of the cubs at least is still on that island. I think it's the yearling straight across from us. We can get a really great view of that now. So if we lost the signal, again, I apologize. They just have to move back and forth to avoid the bears as necessary. We should have a pretty strong Wi-Fi signal here.
Platform, you have some folks on satellite that need to cross, and their friends are trying to get a hold of them.
Copy that. I'll come get them.
So some of the comments have disappeared for me on explore.org in the discuss portion of it. So if you've been posting questions, I haven't been able to see them for just a few minutes. So
Go ahead. Is it the people that are headed your way now?
I'm not sure. Let me check.
My login information, would you be able to put in your login information?
I would be glad to. I'll be there in just a moment.
Great, thank you.
So we might be off air right now. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to check.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem.
Doesn't tell you.
Yeah, we're broadcasting here, but I'm trying to make sure that, you know, it's on the other end of things.
Go ahead. All right, to give you a bear update, we've got Holly swimming in the mouth, the 2 cubs in Downriver Island. There is also 1 bear at the end of closed trail between Big Island and the water. 2 bears in the middle of Big Island that may start affecting the bridge, and 1 bear in Big Bend. Copy. We also have someone fishing at the point.
Okay, I think they're okay for the moment, but I appreciate knowing that they're down there.
All right, so we're just kind of looking at the island. That's where the cubs are right now. And 435 is coming back upriver for the time being, so we'll probably get to see her in just a moment. And it is starting to drizzle just a little bit more here. I'll try to stick with it, but hopefully it doesn't rain too much harder. I'll have to call it a day. Yeah, thanks. I forgot to plug that in for the battery. I think it needs to be. Okay. All right, and it seems like people can still hear me, which is great. Thanks for that update. Again, it can be difficult to manage, you know, everything at once, making sure that people hear me, making sure that our camera's pointing in the right direction. So 435 is swimming back upriver, and she's almost at that island where the cubs are at now. And the bald eagle flew away, so if people are looking to see the bald eagle, it actually did fly away. So unfortunately, we can't point to that. And it's starting to drizzle a little bit harder right now, so I may have to call it an afternoon. I'm going to be out, you know, doing other things. Maybe I'll be able to jump into the comment section, but maybe not, because with my other duties later today. But I wanted to let everyone know about this event, which is really cool, this adoption that appears to have happened here. Look on the other cameras on explore.org. They'll be following this family group as long as they're around. So starting to rain pretty hard now, so I'm going to have to call it in and pack it in. But thanks everyone for joining me, and we'll talk to you later.